Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My name is John, not his real name. I did cross into the border to South Africa a very long time ago, but now I am back here in Zim. When I crossed the border into South Africa, I was but chasing a dream of a better life. Back home here in Zim, there was nothing for me but empty fields of promises. I left with hope in my heart, thinking that I would make it big in South Africa. Then I would send money back home to my family and finally give my mother a reason to smile. I'm going to Johnny. That is what I told my friends. Tomorrow I'll be going. When I come back, I will only come back driving a car. So I told myself, but the dream that I was chasing, it was just a dream. And I did not know that in South Africa, there were even people that were as poor as I am. I finally found out that this was a nightmare. For starters, I had no money. I thought that one could just go there and you can start working. I ended up being stuck in Beitbridge. Oh, God forgive me for the things that I did whilst I was in Beitbridge against my own people. I was so broke. You know, in Beitbridge, they just cook soft porridge and then they sell it to the people that will be moving around. So I would go and sit there and wait for people. After they would have finished eating, I'll quickly grab the plate and just finish up the food. Sometimes I would even go and pick up the food at the place where the donkeys were also eating. Life was very terrible and hard. One day there was a man who came whilst I was busy eating food that had been left over by this other couple that was traveling to South Africa. He said, I have seen you around. Are you from Beitbridge? He spoke with me in Venda, thinking that I was a Venda speaking person. I responded and I said, no, I do come from Masvingo. I do not even have any idea how to speak Chivenda. And then this man told me that he wanted to assist me because he saw that the way that I was built, I have a huge body and a threatening one. So I did not understand, why will someone want to hire me simply because I have a threatening body? Later on, I found out that this man, he was just part of a syndicate. They call them amagumaguma, those ones that are thugs that take advantage of the people that will be illegally crossing from Zim to South Africa or from South Africa to Zim, robbing them of their precious possessions. So they wanted someone as scary as I was. That was the beginning of all of my problems. They took me to this other local beer hall. Oh, how I had missed Chibuku. We sat down and we drank as we spoke about what we were supposed to do that very same night. They told me that the mission was quite simple. There were some illicit cigarettes that we needed to carry from Beitbridge, and then we were going to meet up with this other team in the forest, and those were the people that we were supposed to give those illicit cigarettes, and then we were supposed to return back to Zim. Oh, I was so happy. There was no need for me to go to South Africa anymore. I will be working in Beitbridge and making more money than people in South Africa were making. We went and we collected the cigarettes and we were dropped off at this other place where we were supposed to walk, and we walked, and you will be carrying a lot of these cigarettes and no one stops for anyone. When we arrived at the river, that was when we met the South African team and we handed everything to them, and they continued with the journey. Most of them, they had cars that had GP number plates, meaning that they were supposed to travel from Messina going to Johannesburg. And when we were returning back now to Zim, that was when I found out that even though we were carrying these illicit cigarettes, but there was another mission. These people, they were robbers. We met this other group of people that were traveling to South Africa, and then we started beating them up. We took money. We collected a lot of this money, but what I didn't like was that one woman was stabbed in the thigh, and we left her. I don't know if she survived or not. Even though I have a threatening body, but I am someone with a soft heart. I wanted to cry right and there when I saw what was happening, but I just said, let me keep quiet. I was given money, and this money, when I looked at it, it was full of blood. And I said, I do not want this blood money, but I did not know that this was the life that was going to follow me the time that I would arrive in South Africa with the money that I had. That was when I traveled from Beitbridge and I came to Johannesburg, and I started staying in an area that is called Migrant. I started working for this other South African man who offers garden services. So we will go into different people's homes, mainly your black middle class families, and some of them that were wealthy, that were staying in the gated communities. That is where we used to go to work. I was okay with the money that I was making, with everything that we had done in Beitbridge and everything that I had witnessed. I said, it is far much better for you to live an honest life rather than to take those that belong to the weak, even though I was able to do that whenever I wanted to. So whilst I was working, this man, he also took advantage of me. He then took me to his other client's home after there was a funeral. So apparently the mother-in-law of that man had passed away. We went there and we sat down. The wife was not there, for the wife had gone to Durban, and then that was when we spoke, and I was told that we were supposed to go to this other graveyard, which I have forgotten its name, but it is close by. And I was taken to that graveyard, and I was told that the mission was that I had to remove that woman's head, just like that. It was 3 of us, 1 Mozambican guy and 2 of us that were from Zim. He said, I can see that you have power. I have seen the way that you work. I want you to work within a couple of hours, because we only have a limited period of time. We need to dig up her grave, to collect her head, and to return with it back. Do you understand? We do not have a very long time. And then that was when we were given a pick and a shovel, and we were told to go to work, and they left us at the grave of his mother-in-law. We dug and we dug, we dug and we dug. They had bought for us Twiza Kingsley bread, and they had said that this is the food that is going to give you energy whilst you are working. And one of the guy was a smoker. He was also given some cigarettes, and then we worked and we worked. You could not even believe it. Within 2.5 hours, we had reached the place where the coffin was, and then we opened up the coffin. That was when we started with the work, in which I vomited the moment that we opened up the coffin. But as for the man from Mozambique, he was used to this type of jobs. We handed him this hacksaw, and this hacksaw that this man had bought, it was a wrong one. You know, there is a hacksaw, that one that you can use to cut steel. That one, it is easy to cut off any piece from a human being. But there is this other hacksaw, the one that you use when you are cutting branches from the tree. It was a small green one and very hard. The blade was so hard, it was so disgusting, because it cannot cut properly. It is more like you want to cut meat using a bread knife. It is not nice. So Brother Nashi, that man went to work, he cut and he was cutting, and after he was done, he called us cowards, and he was going to tell the boss that we should not get the same amount as he was going to be given. The boss came and picked us up, and we were returned back to that gated community where we were given our money. He complained, but that man told him that since we were part of the ritual, we were supposed to be given that same amount. I wanted to return back home, but we delayed, and we were told that there was another job. Do you know how many times I ended up going back to that grave with these 2 partners of mine? It was 5 times that we went to dig up graves of people that had been recently buried, and we removed 5 human heads, handing them over to this man. After that, I felt that I was done. We returned back home, me and that newfound friend of mine. He went to Harare, and I was left in Masvingo, where I am right now. I bought a grinding mill, and then I opened up a grocery store. To this very day, whenever I think about this, the only way that I can feel much better about what I have done is when I drink alcohol. That is all that I survive on, because when I am sober-minded, I hear voices. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. You were saying that in the village they brew this traditional beer called 7 days traditional beer. So he is always moving around drinking that beer. Money he has, but he can't afford to be sober because he will start to think about the things that he did. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.